Hi everyone, welcome to English Today Journal. And hey, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy learning English in a simple and practical way.
You gain clarity. You can adjust your plan instead of giving up. For example, instead of trying to wake up at 5 a.m. right away, you might start at 6:30 a.m. instead. Or, instead of exercising for an hour every day, you start with 15 minutes and gradually build up. Small adjustments make habits more realistic, and awareness of your own thinking helps you stick with them. Metacognition gives you a kind of mental steering wheel. It allows you to slow down, notice what's happening inside your mind, and make better choices. It turns fear, frustration, and perfectionism into opportunities for learning. When you catch yourself overthinking, procrastinating, or struggling with a habit, you can pause and ask, what am I thinking?
How is this helping me?
What can I do differently? Each time you do this, you train yourself to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Over time, these small reflections add up. They help you grow stronger, more aware, and more capable in every area of life, from finishing projects to managing habits, from handling emotions to making wiser choices. In the end, metacognition isn't about being perfect. It's about noticing, understanding, and adjusting. It's about learning from your thoughts and actions so that every small step, no matter how messy, moves you forward. Sometimes, when we struggle to stick with a habit or complete a task, it's easy to blame ourselves. Maybe you didn't have reminders, or maybe you lack support. Maybe life just got busy. The important thing to remember is that the goal isn't to judge yourself. The goal is to understand yourself. Understanding why something didn't work is far more useful than feeling guilty about it. Once you know what stopped you, you can make changes that actually help. Maybe you realize you focus better in the morning than at night, so you adjust your study or work schedule. Maybe your goals are too big, so you break them into smaller, easier steps. One of the most important lessons here is that consistency doesn't mean perfection. Being consistent doesn't mean you'll never miss a day. Life is unpredictable, and you will sometimes fall off track. True consistency is about returning again and again, even after you stumble. That's the real key to building lasting habits. It's not about being flawless. It's about resilience, persistence, and using self-awareness to guide yourself back on track each time. Another powerful way to practice metacognition every day is journaling. Many people think journaling is only for writers or creative types, but in reality, it's for anyone who wants to understand themselves better. Writing down your thoughts, feelings, and experiences allows you to see patterns that you might otherwise miss. Over time, journaling helps you notice what stresses you out and what energizes you. You begin to understand your usual mindset. Do you approach life with mostly positive thoughts, mostly negative thoughts, or a mixture of both? By observing your patterns, you gain insight into your own thinking and behavior. Journaling also helps you ask better questions. After reflecting on your day, you might ask, what worked well today? What could I do differently tomorrow? Which thoughts helped me feel stronger? And which thoughts brought me down? Even just a few minutes of journaling a day can make a huge difference. It's like holding up a mirror, not to your face, but to your mind. By seeing what's really happening in your thoughts, you give yourself the opportunity to make small adjustments and guide your thinking in a healthier direction. Metacognition in daily life isn't about being perfect or overanalyzing every single thought. It's not about treating your mind like a laboratory and testing every reaction. Instead, it's about building a simple habit of self-awareness. It's about learning to notice your thoughts, reflect on them, and make conscious choices about how to respond. When you practice it regularly, you start to see yourself more clearly. You understand why you feel certain ways, why certain habits appear, and what patterns influence your decisions. By combining metacognition with simple tools like journaling, you create a foundation for growth. You stop being carried away by fear, procrastination, or negative self-talk. You learn to pause, observe, and adjust. Over time, these small moments of reflection compound. They help you make wiser choices, build better habits, and develop resilience in the face of challenges. You begin to notice that even little shifts in thinking can lead to meaningful progress in your life. Metacognition, in essence, is about giving yourself the awareness and tools to live intentionally. It's about noticing, understanding, and guiding your thoughts so that you can become the kind of person you want to be, one small insight at a time. No matter what challenge you're facing, procrastination, overthinking, perfectionism, or simply trying to plan your day better, you always have a choice. You can pause for a moment, notice what's happening inside your mind, and then decide how to move forward. That small pause creates clarity. It gives you the power to act more intentionally rather than being carried away by habits or emotions. Real growth doesn't happen overnight or through sudden dramatic changes. Instead, it happens gradually day by day as you become a little more aware of your thoughts and a little more mindful in your actions. Each moment of reflection adds up, and over time, it changes how you think, act, and respond to life. Now, let's go a little deeper and explore the two main parts of metacognition. Don't worry, it's not complicated. Once you understand these two parts, you'll realize that you're already using them in different ways, even if you didn't have a word for them before. The first part is called metacognitive knowledge, and the second is metacognitive regulation. These might sound technical, but the ideas behind them are simple and practical. Metacognitive knowledge is about what you know about your own thinking. It's the part of metacognition that involves awareness. It means noticing and understanding things like how you learn best, what challenges you usually face, and which strategies actually help you succeed. For example, maybe you've discovered that you learn better when you say things out loud instead of just reading silently. Or perhaps you've noticed that when you're tired or stressed, it's harder to concentrate and remember information. Being aware of these patterns, your strengths, weaknesses, habits, and tendencies, is metacognitive knowledge. It's also about understanding the nature of different tasks. Writing an essay is not the same as preparing for a speaking test, and memorizing vocabulary isn't the same as learning a math formula. Each task requires different strategies, and metacognitive knowledge helps you recognize what approach will work best in each situation. Once you have that awareness, you can move to the second part, metacognitive regulation. This is about using your knowledge to guide your thinking and actions. It's the practical side of metacognition. For example, if you know that studying in the evening makes you sleepy and unfocused, metacognitive regulation would mean changing your schedule and studying in the morning instead. Or if you notice that reading silently doesn't help you remember information, you might choose to explain the material out loud, summarize it in your own words, or write notes to reinforce learning. It's about planning, monitoring, and adjusting your actions based on what you know about yourself. You set goals, check your progress, and make changes when needed. Together, metacognitive knowledge and regulation form a powerful combination. Knowledge gives you awareness of your thinking and habits, while regulation helps you take control and make choices that improve your learning, productivity, and daily life. You're not just reacting automatically to whatever comes your way. Instead, you're noticing patterns, reflecting on them, and guiding your actions with intention. This is how procrastination gets handled, how overthinking slows down, and how habits become more consistent. By using these two parts of metacognition, you start living with purpose instead of on autopilot. You notice your thoughts, understand your mind, and make decisions that help you grow. Even though the terms might sound technical, the process is natural and practical. Every time you stop and ask yourself, "What am I thinking? What works for me? How can I adjust?" You are using metacognition. Over time, these small steps add up. You become more aware, more resilient, and more effective in everything you do. It's not magic, but it feels like it because each insight makes your mind clearer and your actions stronger. Let's continue with an example to make metacognition really simple. Imagine you are trying to learn 20 new English words. Some people try to memorize the words by repeating them over and over, but that doesn't always work very well. You might remember a few words temporarily, but they quickly fade from memory. What works much better is connecting the words to real-life examples or using them in full sentences. This is exactly what metacognitive knowledge is about. It's about understanding your own mind and knowing the strategies that help you learn best. A person with strong metacognitive knowledge would stop and ask themselves, what's the best way for me to remember these words? They might decide to group the words into categories like food, travel, or work. Grouping them makes it easier to remember. Or they might decide to write each word in a sentence so they can see how it works in real conversation. These small choices come from understanding yourself, knowing how your memory works, what helps you learn, and what doesn't. That awareness is the first part of metacognition, knowing yourself and how your thinking works. The second part is metacognitive regulation, which is about managing your thinking and putting your knowledge into action. If metacognitive knowledge is knowing how you think, then metacognitive regulation is actively guiding your thoughts and learning process.
It's the more hands-on side of metacognition.
It includes planning how to approach a task, monitoring yourself while you work, checking if your strategies are working, and adjusting when something isn't effective. In short, it's being in control of your mental process instead of letting it run on autopilot. Let's go back to our vocabulary example. You already know from experience that writing words in full sentences helps you remember better. That's metacognitive knowledge. But knowing it is only the first step. The next step is using that knowledge to guide your learning. This is metacognitive regulation. For instance, you might make a plan. I'll write 3 sentences for each new word. Then, as you start, you notice something. Wait, I'm just copying sentences without really thinking. This isn't helping me learn. That awareness prompts you to adjust your approach. I'll slow down and make my own sentences instead. This active decision-making, monitoring, and adjustment is metacognitive regulation in action. You are no longer passively learning. You are guiding yourself intentionally. Metacognitive regulation is also about problem-solving and staying on track. While working on any task, you check in with yourself. Am I doing this in a way that works best for me? If not, you make small changes. You notice distractions, fatigue, or moments of confusion and adjust your strategy. You might take a short break to refresh your mind, change your study environment, or try a different method to see what works. Every step involves reflecting on your thinking and making conscious choices to improve it. Together, metacognitive knowledge and regulation form a powerful loop. Knowledge gives you awareness of your thinking, while regulation helps you act on that awareness. You notice how your mind works, plan strategies, monitor your progress, and adjust when necessary. Over time, this combination makes learning easier, helps you make better decisions, and allows you to manage challenges more effectively. You aren't just reacting to your tasks and thoughts, you're actively shaping how you think and how you grow. That's the true power of metacognition, understanding yourself, guiding your mind, and taking control of your learning and life, step by step. Think of metacognition like driving a car. When you're behind the wheel, you don't just let the car move on its own. You steer, adjust the speed, and decide the route. That's exactly how metacognition works in your mind. Metacognitive knowledge is knowing how your mind works. It's noticing your habits, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the ways you learn best. Metacognitive regulation is using that knowledge to guide yourself. It's planning, adjusting, monitoring, and making decisions based on what you know about your thinking. Together, knowledge and regulation make you a stronger learner, a clearer thinker, and a better problem solver in everyday life. To sum it up simply, knowledge is awareness of your thinking, regulation is managing that thinking. First, you notice how your brain works. Then, you use that awareness to plan smarter, make better choices, and grow faster. You're not letting your mind run on autopilot. You're actively choosing the direction, adjusting the speed, and deciding when to take a new route. And the best part? Both metacognitive knowledge and regulation can be learned and strengthened over time. You don't need to be a genius to use them. All you need is curiosity and the willingness